Well, good morning. Uh, I was on a cruise with you maybe 2005 or 6. I can't remember. I had such a great time. But you raised the energy in the room. Um, and I've kind of been on that ride for the last 5 or 6 years. A lot of things have changed and happened, and I just want to release that last little piece of resistance so I could have the fun I really want.
So you want us to just zap you with
That would be nice.
a sort of energy pressure washer.
Yeah. You know, I've thought about it for a long time, and I just don't want to think about it anymore. I just want to do it.
Well, the thing that happened there, what you felt happen, you see, this leading edge that we're talking about, where there's a junction where who you are being in your moment and who you really are is converging. So in an environment like that, or like this, where we are primarily, if you listen to any recording of any gathering that we have ever offered, notice that the majority of the conversation is all about establishing an emotional grid that will put you, if you're listening and if you want it, into a place of allowing who you really are. And that's the ride you took that day. In other words, when we have enough time and we can just play together until we are able to together establish this vibrational place, then who you really are comes to the party. And as you say, it can carry you a long way. That's why the emotional grid work is such valuable work to do. So what we're getting at here is, it isn't that we raised the energy. It's that we played together enough that you all allowed yourself to join the energy at the level that it was.
Okay.
And that really is what we're talking about all the time, because as we were discussing the vortex, you've heard us talking about this vortex, how when you sift through the energy, what you don't want is clear to you, and what you do want is a sort of vibrational rocket that accumulates or assembles in what we are calling your vortex of creation. And it's our way of helping you to understand that you are creating an emotional grid or an emotional basis to which you sometimes deny yourself access to. So we've been talking about how you want to get into the vortex, and it's the same way of saying you want to raise the vibration of your being by focusing generally on the things that feel good to you, in order to stop doing that thing you do that disallows your entrance into that vibrational place. So stay with us just a little bit. Did we confuse you?
No, I got it.
So let's consider it from this point of view. Do you accept the concept of an emotional grid?
Yeah.
And so does it then follow that whenever you know what you don't want, you know what you do want, and that you are establishing a sort of vortexual emotional grid that you might have access to right now or not, but you are establishing it? In other words, can you see how through your sifting through life, you are creating the framework for the creation of your life that is in vibrational form for a while before it manifests? You've heard us say it in a lot of different ways, haven't you? That there is this vibrational version, and that there's often, in fact usually, a gap between the vibrational version that you've created and the manifestational version. And that gap is always about how long it takes you to stop doing that thing you're doing that's keeping you from being a vibrational match to that. So now what we're doing here is we're going to put this vortex that we've been talking about for quite a while. You've been listening to us, written a couple of books about it, and it's been the mainstay of the seminars for a while. Now we're going to put that vortex into the context of this emotional grid that we're talking about here today. So we want to say to you that anytime you think any thought, you are establishing a sort of vibrational grid that has the potential of attracting unto itself. When you think a thought, and you maintain the thought of that thought, or the vibration of that thought, or the focus of that thought for as little as 17 seconds, you've established enough attraction power that we could say an emotional grid has been established, and it will fill in with some manifested reality that you will then be able to observe with just that much. With just that much. So once you know the power of your thought and the potential for setting these grids in place, so let's say you're walking through your day, you got off on the wrong foot, or up on the wrong side of the bed, you say. You woke up not feeling good, and you complained about this, you complained about that, you called a friend, you text a friend, you complained to someone across the table, and without realizing it, you're establishing an emotional grid. Now, the emotional grid is really your basis of attraction, so it would be fair to say you've established one grid. But the thing that is most interesting is that you never only establish one grid, because there is who you are and where you're focusing, and there is the vortex version that is born out of it. Because anytime you know what you don't want, you also know what you do want, whether you speak the words or not. You cannot focus upon something wanted without the unwanted being part of the mix too. It's just the range in which, the vibrational frequency range in which we are all creating, you see. So when you are well-meaning, moving through your day and noticing what you don't want, yes, you are establishing a grid, a set point, a point of attraction that is going to come back and bite you in the foot. But you're also creating the vortex version of it, which your inner being is holding unto. And that version is expanding and becoming more specific. Now, why is the vortex version becoming more specific? Well, for two reasons. One is you keep living and throwing more in there, because every time you know what you don't want, you know more clearly what you do want. So you are telling the vortex, telling your source energy, defining unto the universe who you are and what you really want, but also the source energy part of you. All of those who have gone before you, all those who are non-physically focused, who hold you as their object of attention, are focused upon that grid. Now feel the power of that. Feel how big what you want has become. If we could just convince you the slight adjustment that would be required in order for you to allow those things to come about. Esther's been having such fun because now she has a keener than ever awareness of what non-physical is. And while she's known about us for a long time, she's been listening to us. She has a sense of who we are. She knows how we feel. She knows the clarity that we offer. And she has done her best to apply what she's been learning from us, as you have been doing your best to apply what you've been learning. Now that Jerry is non-physically focused and in cahoots with Abraham, is what she said. She can feel his vantage point. She's looking at things, wanting to rendezvous with him more. And she is recognizing that as she's moving through a moment in time and really enjoying something, like how beautiful the beach is, or how beautiful your face is, or how lovely a child is, that every time she can feel that added perspective, she can feel Jerry joining in or chiming in. So the other day, Esther and her sister were in P.F. Chang's. And it was one that Jerry and Esther had eaten at many, many times. And so Esther was feeling the familiarity of it and sort of missing Jerry a lot. And as the waitress came to the end and was wanting to know if they wanted dessert, Esther said what Jerry always said, what he said every time, always, always, always. No dessert, but we would like some dragon oolong tea and 2 cups and 2 very fortunate cookies.
Okay.
Which the woman laughed at. They always do, because it's a funny way to ask for fortune cookies. But so she comes back and presents Esther with a cookie. And when Esther opened her cookie, the fortune said, "You will be fortunate in everything you put your hands on." Now, there's no question in Esther's mind that, so Esther reads this fortune to the girl, because how fun is that? She asked for fortunate cookies, has never seen the word fortunate in her fortune ever before, but there it was. And the little girl said, it was a great big box, and I reached around, and that cookie just jumped right in my hand. She knew for sure. She knew for sure. Now, some say silly, some say coincidence. Esther says, for sure, for sure. Established a grid with lots of vibrational depth to it, from a place of not disallowing even a little bit, and very clear awareness from non-physical perspective, had a hand in orchestrating an event so specific, so uniquely specific, so satisfying. How would you ever wonder that you are extensions of source energy, and that everything that you want is known by your partners in co-creation? How would you not trust the power of focus of that grid? This is what we're getting at here. Esther now understands more clearly than ever before that there is an emotional grid that has been established by her over a long period of time, and by those that she has co-created with, that is working to serve her, not just a little but a lot, not just sometimes but always. In every moment of her experience, she has the potential of rendezvousing with something amazing, something extraordinary, something thrilling, something fulfilling, something satisfying, something confirming, something affirming, something manifestational. In other words, something real. And so that's what we're talking about all the time. We want you to recognize that you are not in this alone and never have been, and that you're not here being tested but supported, and that you're not here being challenged but inspired, and that once you just make that little adjustment and you just realize what kind of an emotional grid is there for you, and then you do your work, which is to tune in with it by deliberately reaching for things that feel good until you've practiced the vibration of it until it just comes easily to you, you'll ride on that high. And it's a high that most people don't live hardly ever, that you can ride all day, every day. It's a high that is as a result of you being focused in your time-space reality in a vibrational pattern that no longer disallows the fullness of who you are, so that the fullness of who you are, which includes you and anyone that you've ever cared about, and anyone who's ever cared about you, which includes those you don't even know about. You have grandparents and their parents and their parents and their parents and their parents and their parents. You have teachers and healers and all that you've been trying to call God and source energy, all focused with you in your powerful moment, right here, right now. And the question that we want to put to you is, what are you doing with this moment? Are you reveling in it? Are you allowing it? Are you letting the magic happen? Are you letting the clarity come? Are you letting the vitality come? Are you letting who you are be in this moment? Or are you pinching it off because of some ridiculous thing that bothered you, or some memory that you're focused upon, or something that you want that you think that you don't have? In other words, you are the one who raises the vibration by not lowering it. Okay. You are the one that allows the vibration to raise by not doing things that keep it from rising. It's like the analogy of the cork that we've offered you forever. That the cork is floating on the surface of the water, and that's right up there in the emotional grid where you belong, where you really are, where the whole of you is. Now, you can hold that cork under the water. You can find something to fuss and worry about. But when you let go of it, it's going to bob right up there to the surface, right where it belongs. And that's what you are describing. That's what happens when we play together and you are patient enough to listen to us talk about the things we know about you. That's what happens when you allow us to offer enough words that you finally become convinced that you are worthy, beloved beings who are blessed beyond your ability to even imagine, who have source energy looking in on you, not just generally, but specifically, and that in the details of everything that you live, there is power and grace and passion, eagerness for you. Because we have all been working on your grid together. And that's the power of the expansion that must be. But you can't find it unless joy is your only goal, you see.